June 25th.
Hello everyone. Today is 25th of June afternoon, Moscow, and I have a special guest for our community, Alex Christoforou, one and only Alex Christoforou.
On a rainy Tuesday.
And rainy Tuesday, yes.
Rainy Tuesday.
Host of Duran show, of course, everybody knows. So there is no need for special introduction. One of the, if not the leading voices of the reason in this segment of news and political commentary. Hello, Alex, and thank you very much for finding time.
Thank you for inviting
me. For a
conversation. Pleasure to be here, and pleasure to speak to everyone out there, to all your viewers.
Thank you. And let's get to...
let's talk about some news.
Let's talk about some news, yes. And, well, first of all, of course, I have to ask opinion about SMO. How you think, how you will, how you see SMO, how it's going, and then I will have follow-up questions. Of course, main topic right now is that Russian president just about a week ago make his peace proposal. Today he also spoke on this topic, peace proposal, and I really think he is genuine when it comes to this peace proposal. What is your take? Will it be taken seriously in the West? No. How you see things are going?
Okay, will it be taken seriously in the West? No. Are there some people in the West that will take it seriously? Probably, but I don't think those are the voices that prevail right now at the moment.
That's
we are seeing some progress, though. For example, Merz of the CDU in Germany, he did say that we have to come to some sort of peace sometime in the future, he said. So it's a very broad, open-ended statement, but yes, he was very hawkish, like very pro-escalation hawkish. He's going to be most likely the Chancellor of Germany, most likely. And he went from a very neocon, all-out war with Russia position to we need a peace sometime in the future. So, glass half full, glass half empty. Is it progress? I guess you could say it's progress.
Yes.
Do I see anyone else that's one of the leading voices in the West that wants some sort of peace or some sort of ceasefire? Trump, Farage, they said the war is provoked. That's progress. But I think the Biden White House, Sullivan, Blinken, the main powers in the EU, Ursula, Borrell, all of these guys and girls, no, they still want escalation. Macron, for what it's worth, Macron.
But
he could be on his way out anyway. But
what do you think about proposal itself?
Putin?
Yes.
Proposal? I think he wants. Look, I think he wants a ceasefire.
Yes.
That's my own personal opinion. I think he wants a ceasefire. I think he's sincere about it, and he said it a week ago. He said it again. Peskov said it yesterday.
Yes.
They said it again today.
Yes.
I think if they decided the Istanbul Plus, which is basically what it is, Istanbul Plus, plus the regions and full in their entirety, Kherson, Zaporozhye, all the regions in their entirety, with the Ukraine military leaving those regions, I think he would honor that agreement. He would say, yeah, let's do it. It's a basis for negotiation. But the West hasn't given a counter offer, nor are they interested.
Yes.
So at least that we know, maybe behind closed doors, maybe something's going on. I don't know.
Yes, I also have a similar opinion to you, because Putin spoke about it today on Primakov's Readings Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was just a chess move on this geopolitical chessboard, then I don't think he will start talking about this topic again and again. But he reiterated that this proposal is still open, at least for now. Yes. Yes, so that definitely indicates that he's serious.
He's serious about it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just, I'm going to say it right before the Swiss Peace Summit.
Yeah.
And just to give my final ultimatum. So it also shows that it wasn't an ultimatum.
Yes, absolutely.
It wasn't only an ultimatum. At least let's say it like that. It wasn't only an ultimatum.
Yes.
Um,
Also, if and here in Russia, there is also statements being made by number of high-ranking officials, public figures, that if this offer is not received in the West seriously or by Kiev regime, if it's rejected basically, then most likely there will be no more. After certain times, when this deal is closed, then things will only deteriorate for Kiev regime, and there will be different layoff or different roadmap towards peace. Then different proposals. And how you see if Kiev regime continues this conflict? Do they understand that they are risking not just lives of tens of thousands of people that they may don't care, but also the statehood of Ukraine?
right now, for Zelenskyy and all his guys, the war is what keeps them in power. So that's their motivation. They know that as long as they keep the war going, they can most likely remain in power. But you see, even that's starting to deteriorate. There are people in the West who are tired of Zelenskyy and the way he's conducting the war. So, if I was going to advise the Zelenskyy administration, I would tell them negotiate. If there's some opening in the West where they allow you to negotiate. But that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. They're going the other direction. They're moving in the opposite direction, and for him, he sees the war as his only way to stay in power, to buy him time.
Yes.
And so he'll keep things going, and he'll keep on asking for more money and more weapons and more escalation. And he's hoping. I imagine that he's hoping that the forces that do want to remove him don't overtake the forces that want to keep him in power. I think the forces that want to keep him in power, the main force that is still behind Zelenskyy, I believe, is the Europeans. And I still think the State Department, they still believe in Zelenskyy. I think the Pentagon, they've had enough of him. They want him gone. I think the Pentagon wants him gone. So the Europeans, in my opinion, they're the ones that are really holding Zelenskyy in his position. I mean, they love Zelenskyy. they bet everything on the guy. The UK, the Europeans, Trudeau, the Canadians, I think they want to keep Zelenskyy in power. And the Pentagon, the State Department's like, okay, we'll play along with our European allies.
Probably had enough of it.
The Pentagon's had enough. That's obvious. Pentagon wants him gone.
Also, do you think that if this conflict continues? I mean, lately there was too much talk about nuclear weapons, about this extreme force may or may not be used. How you see this situation? Will Moscow find out itself if escalation continues in a position that maybe Russian leadership will see no options or no way out but to use some extreme force? In this particular case, I'm talking about nukes, and I mean, there is a risk of that, or
sure,
because only so much Moscow can tolerate, I guess, with this escalation. Because I mean, when at some point enough will be enough, and then Moscow. So do you see this risk that?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a risk. Probably we've never been more at risk of nuclear war ever in our history, have we? Even more than the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we are at risk of war. Yeah, nuclear war. Yeah. I mean, look, the way I see it is if NATO gets into a direct conflict with Russia, like if they have the NATO meeting in July. This is hypothetical now, but it could happen. If they have the NATO meeting in July and they decide, we're going to send trainers into Ukraine, well, the trainers become troops, and then we're getting into a hot war, like an overt, not a covert, not a proxy war, an overt hot war between Russia and NATO, then, which is essentially the U.S., then the trajectory is straight towards nuclear.
Because here in Russia,
got a friend here.
Yeah.
Even the whole thing about tactical, it's just nonsense. once you start with the tactical, you're going to go to the full.
Yes,
Or
and
it's inevitable once you
know,
get into this conflict.
I get a feeling that here in Russia, people still understand dangers of the nuclear weapons, but even some experts are saying here that Western publics they no longer have any fear, and maybe that's why there is no much opposition
Look,
in the Western societies.
I wonder if one of the reasons that Putin has been saying let's get to a ceasefire 3 times over the past week is I wonder if he understands, he knows better than all of us watching. He may understand that these people will go nuclear. I mean, I don't think the risk of nuclear war is going to start with Russia. I don't think that's the risk. I think the risk is the other side. That's what I think. Because there are people in the collective West, leaders in the collective West, that do believe that they can survive a tactical nuclear war, a tactical nuclear strike, and they can come out on top. They do believe that. I mean, they really believe that if there is a nuclear war,
they
tactical,
can survive.
They can make it. So I don't know. Maybe Putin knows something we don't, and he's saying these people really are crazy. So if I can get a deal,
yes, it's better to
end
this conflict.
because he has said in the past one of the reasons that he hasn't gone fast in Ukraine, like hasn't done any big arrow offensives and anything like that, is because he wanted to preserve the lives of the Russian military.
Yes.
So I mean, he's concerned about the lives of the military and of the people. So that may be one reason. I'm just guessing. Once again, I'm just guessing. So, we're kind of in a strange place, I think, now, where there are some forces which are working to get a ceasefire, mostly from the Russian side, but some forces in the collective West, but not prominent.
Yes.
And we have prominent forces in the collective West that are still pushing for all-out escalation, and those are the leading voices still. But
yes, I want to
the
ask
tide
you,
is starting to shift slowly.
I want to ask you. You mentioned Trump. You mentioned Farage. Basically, both politicians mentioned that Russia was provoked. Basically,
Let's go to the chase.
yes. That Russia was provoked. Farage is in hot photos right now. It's a total meltdown in elites in UK, as I understand. He is under heavy criticism. While he just said basics, he did not say much really. And yesterday I was checking some videos, and I was really surprised how upset some prominent figures they are, and media also.
He just said provoked.
Yes, he just said provoked. I mean, he didn't say much really, just some basic stuff. But
That shows you how crazy they are.
that definitely shows your level of control of their narratives, I guess, because you are not allowed maybe to even say that.
It's taboo, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's taboo.
that was
You're not allowed to, because look, that was the main narrative, wasn't it?
yes,
Of the conflict. This is
unprovoked.
Russian
Yes.
aggression. That's
Yes,
that's the
absolutely.
main narrative. So,
And Alex, what do you think? If let's hope that these negative scenarios will not work out, and we will not end up in nuclear disaster. Let's hope for that. But if, let's say, next 3 months, 3-4 months, when presidential elections will take place in US, somehow there will be, if not no escalation, at least some operational pause on the ground in Ukraine. If Trump is re-elected, do you think that he might make some changes really? Because he said just recently in Philadelphia, I believe, during his speech, that he will resolve this conflict before inauguration if he is re-elected. It's just 2 months from election to re-election, from elections to inauguration, which will be on 20th of January. Do you think it may make changes really? I mean, if Trump is president, or
he could. I don't think he'll make big changes. But look, if he really wants to wind down Ukraine, it's easy. You just stop sending the money. That's easy. That's the easy part. Just like with IS in Syria, stop sending them money.
weapons, yeah, it's
It's
done.
finished. It's done. That's not hard. You don't really need this complicated strategy to wind down the conflict in
And,
Ukraine and get Zelensky to the negotiating table. It's easy.
and
That's not hard.
and you know U.S. better than I will ever know. And I wonder if Trump is, let's say, re-elected, will forces that are most powerful in U.S. I don't know, deep state or intelligence. Will they allow, let's say, Trump, his administration to work freely, or he will experience some significant difficulties there too?
It's hard to answer. We'll see in who he picks. If he becomes president, if they allow him to become president,
Yeah, that's still a question.
we've
Yes.
got many months to go. But let's just say he wins, and we have to see who he picks. You know, if you start seeing names like Pompeo,
Oh yes.
and
Then
guys like
everything
this,
is yeah.
okay,
Nothing will change.
Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, let's see who his VP, his vice president pick is. If it's JD Vance, then I think Trump is serious about winding the war down and focusing on the U.S. If he chooses Tim Scott, for example,
Then it's opposite.
yeah, it's the opposite. Absolutely. So I think a lot will be revealed with his VP pick.
Yes, and of course we spoke about Ukrainian crisis. Of course, in Russia, it's number one topic. Obviously, I will say worldwide also one of the top topics that everyone is talking about. But also, of course, Middle Eastern crisis. Uh, uh, Recently, we start receiving statements, information from Israel that Netanyahu's government may escalate with Lebanon, with Hezbollah. And in my understanding, Hezbollah is a much greater force than Hamas per se. And if IDF is struggling with Hamas, then they definitely gonna struggle. I'm not even sure if they are in position to hope for a victory over Hezbollah. Really, I mean, I'm being real here. I don't think they are able to defeat. But if they are escalating with Hezbollah, can it be that there is some agreement in place between Netanyahu's government and the U.S. leadership, UK leadership, that Netanyahu will provoke conflict and they will get support from U.S. UK militaries? And you mentioned in your programs that Hezbollah already responded on this escalation, and they even stressed that they may target Cyprus. I mean, they mentioned Cyprus, and first, what I was thinking, I'm gonna watch Christoforou's update because he will definitely react on it. So, what do you think? Are we really close to regional war there? Because it will definitely not end on Hezbollah, that's for sure. Some other countries will get involved, maybe Iran, and that's Persian Gulf may be shut down, navigation, which is a strike on world's economy in that case, not just China that is main buyer of the energy from the region. So what is your take on all this situation?
Look, I think Netanyahu is in a very similar position to Zelenskyy in a way, in that by keeping the conflict going, whatever conflict, he remains in power.
Yes.
So, you know, with Hamas, the war did not go well for Netanyahu. Everyone knows that. Everyone sees that. Even the Biden White House sees that. So it looks like he's wrapping up and packaging up the Hamas operation and moving on to Hezbollah and to Lebanon. And I think that's something that the U.S. can sell a lot better, is a conflict with Hezbollah and Iran. They can definitely sell that a lot better to the U.S. Public, and it's Iran, and the neocons are definitely much more.
They are openly calling for war.
Yeah, they're much more interested in going after Hezbollah because you're one step away from Iran.
Yes.
So for them, it works out great. That's why they've invited Netanyahu in July to speak to Congress, and I think it's a shift that the neocons definitely welcome. I think it keeps Netanyahu in power, and probably the Biden White House, if they can find a way to, you know, before the election to somehow find the exit out out of Gaza and shift it over to Iran, given the fact that they control the information space so well and they have the information space so locked down, maybe Hezbollah, Iran is a conflict that they feel. I'm not saying it's going to work. I don't think it'll work, but I'm saying they may feel like they can sell that war a lot more effectively than the disaster that was Gaza and Palestine. I mean, that was a disaster on all levels. It was on all levels. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Biden White House, Blinken, these guys are thinking Sullivan along those lines. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they're thinking in terms of how can we move out of this conflict, which is really damaging our chances in November, and move on to a conflict that we can sell to the American people, which won't damage us in November, which is a war with another country in the axis of evil, which is Iran. I mean, you have your script, ready to go. Iran, the mullahs in Iran, the evil Iran that does this to
they already
people,
have prepared scripts for that,
to women, and to people that go against the. I mean, they've already got everything written out.
Yes.
For that.
So you see,
maybe this is something that I can see.
Yes, that's quite unfortunate because, last what Middle East or this region, this world in general wants is another war, of course.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to
happen.
There
is a risk, yes. There is a risk of that.
From a marketing, information standpoint, I can definitely see them thinking along those lines. I mean, the one thing about the Biden White House is that the most important thing for them, more than anything else, is the information space. For them, if they can control the information space, they have this feeling that if they can control the narrative, then they control everything.
Yeah.
Even reality. They can manipulate reality. If they control the narrative, then they have a hold on the reality of everything. So,
Alex, I have another topic, and your opinion is going to be very interesting. Recently, there was elections in Europe, isn't it, in the European Parliament, and one may say some. I don't know how independent they are, but at least several parties, Eurosceptics, right-wing parties gained some, significant success. They managed to achieve some success. Do you see? And in France, for example, according to latest studies, party of Marine Le Pen, that she was head of, is doing quite okay, and they may achieve in upcoming elections, significant. They may have significant success. Do you see it is realistic that there will be some shift in politics in Europe? Because if France is, if changes is starting in France, then who knows? It may happen in Germany. It may happen in UK because, Farage is quite popular. I don't know if he will manage to achieve success in elections, but his party, UK Reform Party, but there is a possibility that there will be some significant changes, shift in European politics, or nothing will change in general.
Look, I mean, is there a shift in European politics? Yeah. I mean, I think the European elections definitely showed that. I think the UK elections are showing that. The European EU citizens, they don't want war. Now, it doesn't mean they're pro-Russian. Even the pro-Ukrainian Europeans, you can tell they don't want. I mean, the election showed they don't want to go to war with Russia.
Yes. You don't have to be pro-Russian to be against war.
Yeah, they realized, crap, I have the Ukraine flags on my social media account. I despise Putin, but now this is getting a little too hot. I may have to be on the front lines. It was all, nice and fun when I was putting the flags on my Facebook account, but now this is getting a little too close for comfort.
It's getting real, yeah.
It's getting real. So, yeah, they don't want to go to war with Russia. So there is that shift. You have to separate, I think, the EU member states from the from the European Union political class,
Yes, of course.
the Commission and the Council and all of these appointed officials. That's what they are, appointed officials. And and you know, the Parliament, for me, the Parliament elections were a referendum on whether
Yes.
EU citizens want to continue down this path. They obviously said no. Okay, so we got a good result there. But the Parliament in the European Union has no real power.
Yes, that's also a point. Yes.
Everything's going to be decided by the Commission and the Council. Ursula, from what I understand, has been appointed for a second term. I think that's been approved. The Council isn't going to change. So I think the EU will continue to do as it's been doing, and that is taking the orders from the United States and destroying itself. I think the fact that Ursula is going to be the Commission head for a second term all but guarantees that the European Union is on self-destruct mode. I mean, she's a disaster in any position that she's ever held, whether it was Defense Minister of Germany or being the Commissioner of the EU. It's one failure after another. So why would anything be different in her second term? So Europe's going to continue to implode. The economy is going to continue to implode. The only change that could happen is if you start getting more presidents or prime ministers like Orban.
Yes, that's...
Le Pen. I'm positive about Le Pen, but I worry she may turn out to be another Maloney.
Yes,
So
that's also...
we're on a wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see. And there's already been reports
Yes.
that Le Pen's policy towards Ukraine is going to be support Zelenskyy, but no French troops in Ukraine. That's going to be our policy. But the U.S., if the neocons really start to push it, they can figure out a way to put French troops into Ukraine. I mean,
yeah, we may see another
can
U-turn there.
yeah, they'll be able to manipulate Le Pen if they really need to. So who knows? I mean, maybe she'll surprise us. Maybe she'll be like Orban. It's possible. I never want to say never say never, but
Yeah.
we have to get more people who are aligned like Orban or Fico. I don't see any leaders on the horizon like that at this point in time. I'm trying to think right now. I don't see it.
Oh.
I just don't see it. Le Pen is the only one I can think of. As we said, Merz seems to be shifting his position a little. If he becomes chancellor, maybe he'll be smarter than Schultz. I mean, but that's not a high bar. He'll be smarter than Schultz. I mean, maybe he'll remove the Greens. That's a positive. But the guy his instincts are for war. He's hawkish. He's super hawkish. He's calmed down a little bit, but he's calmed down, I think. He's shifted a little bit because of the elections.
Most likely,
Yeah.
yes.
So, the people, the EU citizens have to hold their leaders to account. Will they be able to do that? Probably not, now that the elections are over. Annalena said it best a year ago. We don't care what the people want. She was saying the quiet part out loud. We don't care what our voters want. We're going to do what we think is best.
And they just did, for example, 14th sanctions package that was imposed. That's based. They shooting their feet.
And what did they impose? They imposed more sanctions on LNG.
LNG, yes.
Which means that they impose sanctions on themselves again. Bravo.
Yes,
which means that the U.S. is telling the European leaders, you haven't destroyed yourself enough. Destroy yourself some more. And the EU leaders said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can I have another? Yes, sir.
Because when I was reading this 14th package sanction, I was thinking, what they are doing? Are they even understand that they are destroying their own economy?
They're destroying their own economy. We're not going to allow LNG ships to reload and resupply in European ports. Okay, so the LNG ships are not going to go to Europe. End of story.
Yeah, and
like there aren't enough markets to buy LNG. All over the world, people want to buy LNG.
And they're already starting work on 15th sanctions package, which is...
the EU is on self-destruct mode. Out of this whole project Ukraine, obviously Ukraine is obviously the country that's that most likely is going to either not exist or be a fraction of what it was. Most likely, maybe they'll accept Putin's ceasefire too. I don't know, but outside of Ukraine, Europe is being destroyed.
Yes.
Europe's going to come out of this as a continent that makes nothing, that has an economy that's effectively just the European economy is going to be tourism and other services that are catered towards the United States. Call centers, I don't even know. Call centers, insurance.
Yes, Europe is,
Stuff
and now
like that.
and now European
gonna be
politicians
Europe.
want sanctions war with China,
Yeah, exactly. They're on
which is,
self-destruct mode.
which is so crazy. I mean,
So I don't know if you're in the tourist business in Europe. I guess you're going to be all right, man. I mean, if you're in anything else, then it's going to be a tough next 20 years, right?
yeah,
So I mean, I wouldn't wait for any change coming from Europe. Whatever is going to happen, it happens in the United States. It happens and ends in the United States. If we're going to get peace, it's going to come in from the United States. If we're going to get a nuclear war, it's going to come from the United States. And if Putin makes the decision to end the conflict in Ukraine, then so be it. But right now, at this moment, I see a Russian government, which is a Putin government, which is half and half. Yeah. Yes, of course. Конечно,
course.
конечно. Ah.
So, well, Alex, thank you very much for your attention, for time. Of course, I have many questions. There's so many topics to talk about, but I know you are busy. So I will end this video now. I hope our community will, and I'm quite sure our community will find this video very interesting. Once again, thank you very much. And see you next time when you will be around here in Moscow.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.